Okay, so we are back, and my brother, man, he's a beast with the support. So I was able to stay home yesterday. You know, teamwork makes the dream work. So they did fine on the dry fit, on the jerseys, and he finished the reversible sides and everything too. We just have a few to take care of. A few more numbers or whatever that I need to cure or print and cure. I'm just soft curing these sublimation sheets so that we can go ahead and run these socks here, and we'll be using Silky socks. I have zero affiliation with them. I don't think they do any sort of things like that, but I'm still gonna put them out there because they have great products. So sometimes we aren't really like-minded with, you know, helping each other progress, but they do have phenomenal sublimation blanks. So we are also going to test that against our chart that we printed out here. Okay, and what else? Oh, I can see right now that I'm going to have to prime. I mean, I can see it through the front cover, but we had some backflow. Now, I did the paper towel method. Yeah, so if you can see that, basically these are the white lines, with the exception of the yellow. And there's some cyan in there or other colors, so we have some cross-contamination, and that's why I don't wet cap my printers. You can do whatever you want to do, but even in my L1800 I do not wet cap my printers because that some of that cleaning solution can kind of you have what I call reverse flow. So it basically, if you think of putting a drink or a straw in a drink of water or soda, and you put your thumb over it and you lift it up because you want to taste it, that's kind of similar to the same thing that's happening. You have the paper towel underneath the print head, and once the printer is actually powered off, you're getting that absorbent, you know, it's absorbing through the paper towel into the head, into your dampers or your lines. So that tells me that I'll have to run a serious ink purge, or I'll have a blue tinge, like a tainted bluish hue to my whites. So I would much rather run a couple of initial ink fill cycles. Excuse me. I would much rather that than the head dry out, because again, it has been parked here. Now, one could say, yeah, why didn't you just park it there? Remember that the printer generated an error, and I still needed to clean the surface of the head. Even if I slide it over, it's still not going to seat correctly onto the capping station. And so that's my reason for that. But it's still to where we can move it, because we need to move it in order to be able to change this belt. The belt should be here tomorrow, but we'll be getting orders out. But the day after tomorrow, I will be taking this entire thing apart, and no promises, but I may even see, since the cover will already be off, I may even try to find out how to take this plate off and be able to access the dampers. Even though we have great inks, the printer's already taken apart, so I may do that as well, but I don't want to create any issues that aren't already there. So don't hold me to it, but I feel like the cover is going to already be off, and I'll just see what I can do with regard to that. So we will be pressing these socks here in a bit. I guess I can keep this running. Give me a moment here. We need to add more ink to the L1800. But we did pretty good in terms of management. There's powder everywhere. But So how I do this, I might as well show you, is how I determine this is kind of like centimeter increments. So it's hard to explain. So we have, I believe, the 80, not 80, what is it? I can't remember. It's early in the morning. So we have, what is this? 10, the carts in the L8 or in the 3880 or 80 mil. So each centimeter represents 10 milliliters of ink to me from what I've tested. So I usually write down a chart. And so I will basically, because once this is tilted downward, you can no longer see what your level's at. So before I even shake it or disturb it or add inks or anything, I go by just eyeballing the measurements. So the black is a little bit low. Maybe you can see it if it's level. So the black's a little bit low. So I'll say 1. So that's 1 pool of black. 3. 3 white. 3 white. 3 magenta. And 2 cyan. So what I would do on a sheet of paper is I'm going by the actual configuration. The shop is super messy. So I'm going to mark this, and this is just if you don't know how much ink to actually, how much to fill your tanks. I actually meant to do this explanation a while back, but I never got to. So we're saying, hopefully you can see both in the shot. So we're saying I don't need any for the yellow. I need to do 1 pool of black. So 1 or 10 milliliters, if you want to say it that way. So 10 milliliters for black, 30 milliliters or 3 pools of white for each channel, which would be 1, 2, 3, which would get us close to that fill line or max fill line, and then 3 for magenta and 1 pool for the cyan. So I hope that helps you. I hope you understood that, and that's just my so that's just my way of doing things. So I will set the camera up. We need to do the paper towel method to wipe the surface of the print head. Again, the humidity is pretty much perfect in the shop with it being as cold as it is, as cool as it is, but it's not, the air isn't moist. So that's why the white was laying down. You saw the white. And so, and that's from the L1800. And so we'll have a talk about how people say you need an Otley or you need all this stuff. So we'll have a talk about printer versus printers and all of that other stuff, because they're all Epson-based systems. So we'll get into that later. But I have some more stuff in store for you, actual facts and truth. So let's get this set up. We will be adding inks that we need to add to it. Paper towel method, clean the surface of the print head. Excuse me, clean that. The wiper blade, because again, we were up here for 17 hours the day before yesterday. So from this point on, it's a matter of just making sure the printer is ready to go. While we're running the prints, I will powder them immediately and let them set there while we get started on the test prints, because I printed 2 of these with 2 different profiles. So I don't know if you can tell. It's the lighter, and here's the darker. So I'm gonna press both of those, see which one is closest to the jerseys and the royal color, and then we'll be off to the races. We'll get the stuff pressed up and out of here. Oh, and one more thing. So they were so excited and seeing the results that we will be having hundreds of jerseys to actually print. So again, stay up here for 17 hours with the L1800 and figure it out until we can get the 7890 back up and running, or provide an excuse to the client. So it's either provide an excuse or show them this quality, because I can produce the quality with either Epson printer. Doesn't matter if that's a large format. So you get what I'm saying? If you're talking about buying a printer, it's more so a matter of speed. But again, we'll get into that later. But that's why we dig deep and do the 17-hour days if we need to, because we need the repeat business and we need other clients to see what we have to offer. And we do that in tandem with pricing accordingly, and we'll get it done. Oh yeah, by the way, wish me luck on this thing, because this has got to be running pretty soon, up and running pretty soon, but stick around. Okay, so while the L1800 is doing its thing, we'll be utilizing these jigs provided by Silky socks. I mean, we ordered them, so they're not free or anything like that. They come separately when you order the socks. They also have many other blanks, sublimation blanks that we use. These are the footy socks for the ladies, and you can do full bleed on these. They sublimate perfectly. They also have the streetwear socks. These are the red ones compared to the blue ones that we'll be printing today. But what I need to do is I need to find a scrap pair of socks that we can test both of these layouts on, which they aren't in this box, so I'll get this out of the way. I may have some scrap socks in here. Oh wow, really quickly, this is the best white toner shirt I ever printed. It was black and white. Yeah, I'll be making a video pretty soon on that to deter people from ordering one of those monstrosity of a printing system for t-shirts. I'll say that. But moving on, you know what I'll do for the sake of time, we have a long day ahead, so we will actually be testing on our color swatch thing. I'm just gonna place the layouts right, slap it right there, and we'll test this to see which layout has the better finish or look to it. I already have some craft or butcher paper trimmed here. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I'd rather cover both socks at one time. I'm actually going to, I don't really need the jig, but I do want to get a feel for what my pressure is going to be like. I do know just by looking at it, I need to lighten this up some. That may be okay. Alright, so now I'll just load these the incorrect way, because this jig is for the streetwear socks. You know what? I'll just do it the right way. These jigs are for the streetwear socks here, and they are the same thickness as the ones for the street wear, like crew neck, or not, I'm sorry, the crew style socks, the shorter ones, which will be the ones that we'll be printing. So I'll just thread these socks here. And I like to keep them somewhat flat. Usually don't print on the toe part, but it's the first time for everything. Okay, we'll just need to roll these into place. I don't want my sample swatches to over sublimate, so I'll kind of hang these off the press a little bit. Might get a little ghosting, but I'll still be able to check the colors out. Okay, this is somewhat straight. Somewhat straight-ish. So now, I think this rests too high. I wonder if I could... Nope. Okay, so this will be okay. You know what? What I'll do, there shouldn't be too much heat transfer to the bottom here. So I actually lay this underneath, and so the inks don't discharge onto the bottom of my platen. Okay, so first we're going to get a feel for the actual pressure. Cut some more for these cover sheets. Okay, that's good enough. Let's see where our pressure's at. Need a little bit more, and you'll have to feel it. And as we lift up, if we sublimate, I'm going to just gently, ever so gently lift up, so that what happens is it'll ghost. It'll do what we call ghosting, when you just plop the heat press up. Gust of air rushes in, and that's what causes your transfers to shift, and then you'll end up with the ghosting effect, where the ink actually sublimates offset to the actual print. Okay, so that's enough talk. Let's go ahead and cut these. This is going to be, let's see, 4, 8, 12. There's 11 layouts, so I actually prepared enough for us to test one of what will be the front layouts. And I believe the right one's going to win over the left one, but we'll see. I also want to be careful to trim some of this. I know you may not be able to see, so I'll show you. Okay, so you can't really tell, but if I didn't trim this, you may be able to see it. It's a little black there. That will transfer or sublimate onto the socks as well. So I don't want that to happen. So we're going to trim the outer edges of this, because there may be some ink that you didn't notice on the edges. And we don't want to go through all of these steps to produce an inferior product, a garment. So I'm going to lay these upside down. Won't matter, but we're going to press these at the same time now that we have our pressure. Again, I'm not expecting this to be perfect, but we may come out ahead. So we're covering, my paper isn't that thick, so I'm actually covering this with 2 sheets. And these will be single-use sheets, or you'll get ink that gets transferred to the top of the transfer sheet, or the cover sheet rather, which would be our craft paper, butcher paper, and it will ghost onto the next print. So we are at 380 degrees Fahrenheit at 83 seconds. Okay, so these will come off rather hot, so I may end up using some gloves here. There's no point in singeing my skin. For those of you who are curious, this is the first L1800, or second technically, print. We'll powder it, set this off to the side so we can cure it in a little bit. And I'll go ahead and queue up the next print. So now we're doing multiple things, and I want to make sure this is right. Let's see how this test did after it cools off. And I also want to wait a second too. So we're lifting up slowly. Again, we don't want that gust of air to come through. Slightly lift up and quickly remove these. All right. So now I can already tell straight away that we'll be using the right, because it's a brighter, vivid orange. So we'll throw the other layouts away. Or actually, I'll keep them in case we have another garment where it doesn't have to match, but it's still the same color. So we'll go with the lighter one of the two. And if we were pressing these socks, what we would do is we would just roll and flip, and you'll see me do that here in a second. But this is very vibrant, sublimated, so it's the dye is gonna actually wash well, and we're ready to start these runs. Hey. Oh, it's okay. We're in this thing. You ain't gotta be quiet or nothing.
Oh, okay, because I thought you was recording.
I am, but I could cut out whatever, and it's just, I ain't trying to, no, because I figured on days where it's just super imperative that it's like a tutorial or something like that, I'll just come in on an off day or just come in early, but I already told them it's family, so.
Okay. Looks like you got that order.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah,
So the part's supposed to be here tomorrow, but I want to make sure we get just the other stuff caught up. Yeah. But I'm gonna attempt that repair on Thursday. So, man, we'll see how it goes. Okay, now I want to be careful in making sure that we know what's the front of the socks and the back of the socks. So we're just threading it through here, trying to line up this crease. So everything the Silky Socks does is within mine of the printer, and that's what I like, because if that crease is as close to the center line as possible, I have less of a margin for error, because I know what's exactly in the center. So what we'll be doing is printing. Oh, I'm sorry. So when I'm threading the socks, I'm making sure that these lines are as straight as possible so that we get a dead-on hit. So again, I like to line it up with the center line crease and just thread it as such. And I'm just trying to clear this line so that it doesn't kind of protrude in. And that's going to keep everything nice and flush and lined up. And I don't want to go all the way to the edge here, because we'll get discharge on the inside of the sock. If I wanted to, I could put a piece of the scrap butcher paper in there. I think that's unnecessary. Okay, I believe we're ready to start. So we're pressing the fronts first. Notice there's a bit, there would be a bit of a gap once you actually lay these down. So I want to kind of put these closer to the edge, but not so much that it tilts away. This feels good. Trying to keep everything lined up and straight. And I'm gonna give it what I call a good inch down from the top, everything, so that everything falls in place. I don't have to measure anything. I can just eyeball it because everything is so small. Have our gloves here because these do come off hot. We don't need to roll anything. We're not doing full bleed. I actually need to put some paper under here. I also need to keep track of our DTF prints that we're running. So we have 15 orange front. We printed 14. Fronts and backs. And 21 is in the queue. 21 front. I'm also pressing the first ones here. We've already confirmed that royal color isn't absolutely perfectly matched here, but we've already confirmed that with the client, so we know everything's good. So I'm gonna cut 2 pieces of paper for the bottom, and I'll go ahead and cut a row of 4 so that this doesn't take all day. I think this may be a little too short. It's cutting it close. But again, we aren't doing full bleed, so it's not that big an issue. I could actually do it this way too. We want this paper to stretch as far as possible. Okay, let's put this down. All right, that's as close as I want to get it. Like I said, we're trying to get clear, free and clear of the heel side of the sock. It's not pulling it down that far. So we'll start with the fronts. I cut the numbers but not the fronts. I also need to trim the edges as I did before. And I'll get more organized here in a bit. We're just trying to muscle through this. And again, I'm still trying to get the order finished and create a walkthrough for you guys. So okay, 2 layouts here, front of the sock, everything's lined up. Measure twice and cut once. And as mentioned before, we're giving it a good inch from the top edge. And our cuts may be off, so I'm really looking through the sublimation paper and still trying to line the center up. It looks good. a cover sheet. I'm using 2. Your paper may be thicker. You may be able to use more. Okay, so now this is ready. I'm gonna press, and while that's running, I'll be trimming these up. So we're multitasking. I'm checking on the L1800. I'm not gonna cure with the Geonite just yet for the DTF prints because I don't want to get into doing too much stuff and then make a mistake. We're at 59 more seconds for the socks. I'm just trying to get the extra large socks out of the way so that everything else is large and I don't have to worry about which sizes go with which numbers. 38 seconds left. And remember, we're gonna lift slowly here. I may not need the gloves only because we aren't really having to roll the socks. So I won't need these. If we do another video with the roll coverage or the full coverage, we will need to roll them and it gets a little bit more tricky. Again, slow lift up. That's good that we trim this paper down too. Less of a likelihood of ghosting. Okay, and here are our fronts. Beautiful color. Again, it's not a perfect absolute match, but they're okay with that. It still looks good. I'm gonna flip these over. I can use the bottom half because ink hasn't been discharged there yet. But after I press this again, it will try to discharge into the paper, so we'll need another set. But we are ready for this. Enough talk. It's the number 15, which is an extra large sock. Now, I could also press multiple socks at once, but again, you open yourself up to error, and I want this order to be as near to perfect as possible since it's their first order. We already have other teams in the lineup because they like what they see. So, again, we are blessed. So we're gonna cover this. Now we're doing the backs. And we'll be ready to slide these off the jig. They may be a little hot, but I can handle those temperatures just from pulling them off. I should be able to. So let's go ahead and cut some more butcher paper and get ready for these. Got 63 seconds. The Geonite, or we got 63 seconds, and the L1800 is halfway through with that next print. Slow lift up. Okay. Backside. Slip these off the jig. The glass will cool it off a little bit so that I can work with them. But now we have Butterfingers today. So we have the fronts. Hope you can see that. Hope it's bright enough. And the backs. This is ready. And this is how you can use DTF and sublimation and all these different printing techniques to mark up things for an entire team. Next time they want us to may want us to do face masks or arm sleeves. So utilize all of these methods, but I will not be using vinyl anymore. That's the only thing I won't compromise on. Okay, so I'm gonna speed this up so that this isn't a tremendously longer video, and then we'll, I guess, make this a time lapse, knock these out, and we'll get back to finishing this order so that we can make good time today.
Oh, okay, yeah. This one, you got my name on top of that one.
Okay, appreciate it.
This yours. This come with the thing. This come with that. So means
No, I had to order those. Just real quick, invade your space.
Alright.
Okay, so we are going to crush it today. I had to take yesterday off. It's a day of rest for me that I have to take, but we won't take any days off until we get this order out, even if I have to run it through the L1800. Well, you can see my breath. So in Texas, I'm looking at the correct camera and that I'm not looking cockeyed, but in Texas yesterday it was 75 degrees outside, and by 2 p.m. it was probably closer to 50 degrees. It is now 20 something degrees outside, which is uncommon, but common if you live here in Texas. So aside from that, I was a little discouraged, I'm not gonna lie, when that carriage belt broke on the printer in the middle of a job. And so I have to dig in deep, just like I'm preaching to you guys. And so we will figure this out. I will do it myself. I will record it for you guys to see, because I want to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the great. Don't forget the great. So we will run those prints on the L1800, even if it takes 15-20 minutes per print. We will prevail. Take you guys along for the ride. I'm waiting on the truck to heat up, and then we're going into the shop. It's 8:20 right now. It's 8 in the morning on my day off. I'm unshaven and unkept, but I don't care. Not that I don't care about my appearance, but we will prevail, and I don't care. We will get this printer fixed. I'm waiting on the carriage belt pulley assembly to be delivered from Washington State. We paid priority on it, and so if the part is a good part, I'll put it in the description in case you ever need them and you're here in the States. But we will not let this stop us. That's my own pep talk, so I'm talking to myself, but I happen to be recording it for you. So that's the end of this pep talk. I think the truck is warmed up enough here, and we're gonna crush it. We will prevail. Dig deep. This is one of those days. And anything I tell you guys, I actually do it. I live it. So let's get on the road and get to the shop. And as always, stay elegant. It is important that we, the measure of a man, or the measure of a person, I should say, the measure of a person is how they respond when things don't go their way. We can say that we are this and we are humble and we are all these things. The true measure of a person is how they respond to things when things don't go their way, when they're angry. So with that said, let's get out of here. My other camera is charging, or it's dead. That's why I'm using this one. But once I get to the shop, I'll probably record from the webcam and show you how I'm moving these files around and doing all this crazy stuff, because I had it set up for the 7890. Now I need to move the files over for the L1800. But we will crush this thing, and we won't let it get to us. Stay elegant. Okay, so here we are, morning of the repair. We'll see how this goes. I have the part in here, and I'm doing this for two reasons. One is so that if this is a bad part, in terms of not opening the box, if it's a bad part, I don't want the company to try to contest what I'm saying. I want them to see me open it on camera. So let's hope everything's good. But this is what we'll be attempting to replace. I have the service manual pulled up, so I'll do a screen share as well. I have to remove the cover, left and right cover, and we may have to remove the upper cover too, but I'll look and see. Print head should still be fine. But yeah, so you can't really see, but we'll have to rerun this and remove that pulley there. I have a few ideas that I want to try, both of which are, some of them might not even work, but if they do, we'll have a comprehensive video in case you're watching this because your belt broke. Stay tuned. Okay, so first I want to preface this by saying that I am not an Epson technician in no way, shape, form, like, or manner. I do know my way around a smaller format printer, so this will be the first time I've taken one apart of this size on the large format side. If you are following this as a tutorial of sorts, please be aware that you are doing this at your own risk. I'm just recording myself for two reasons. One would be in order to put everything back in the reverse order in case I mess something up. But secondly, it would be in case everything goes right. We'll have a comprehensive walkthrough if you want to follow what I've done instead of getting the runaround from a service, an Epson repair service where they charge you $2,000, just to look at it. So what we are going to be doing today is replacing this driven pulley unit, or what I've known as the carriage belt. You know what? Let's make this visible for y'all. And all I'm doing is just bypassing the haven't seen that in a long time. Okay, yeah, we're not gonna change any sort of ink back to photo because we're using cleaning solution. So, and again, this is no gimmicks. This is all organic. I'm not gonna cheat you guys or trick you guys. You guys are smart enough to know what's what. So far, so good. The whites are looking pretty crispy, and the belt seems to be still aligned with no issues. It's not jerking or anything. Did I just fix this thing? And again, this isn't pride or anything like that. I'm not an Epson technician. I don't recommend anybody do this, but what do you do? I kind of like this, talking while the prints, I hope I'm in the frame. We're just blessed. All praises to the Most High. I am a believer, so I can't deny that. So I won't make this about that, just in case you aren't. That's not what my channel's about, but that's me personally. So what do you do when there's no video on YouTube? The repair companies that you do call either don't call you back, or they make it seem as though you're gonna at least be out of $1,000, give or take. And if you drop the printer off to them, who knows how long they'll say that the repair took when you're not there to monitor them. But you would pay more when they have to come out in the field and do the repair. I am a firm believer in paying people what they are worth. And but just like I charge a certain amount for my shirts or whatever, I'm a firm believer in that. But I am not going to ever let someone take advantage of me, ever. So that's not gonna happen. So let's hope this belt stays on here. Again, I'm not gonna celebrate, but I'm ready to run these prints, and I feel good about how crispy this white big boy ink is coming out of this printer. And again, you can see it a little bit, but this is sat there for 2 weeks. You can barely start to see it settling. Let me make sure this is in the shot. I don't want anybody to, I want to be very, man, how can I get that to focus? But yeah, you can't really see it separating. Big boy inks. It's barely translucent, maybe a 1/16 of an inch. But again, that's after this bottle's been sitting there for at least 2 weeks, because I wasn't able to use the printer for a week and a half. So the inks are a little bit loose here. Oh, you know what? That's actually where that paper, no, that's where the paper towel was. Remember I did the paper towel method? Okay, okay, so that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. But yeah, that's where, excuse me, yeah, so that's where I actually put the paper towel when we were cleaning it. Notice how the print was perfect, and then it faded a little bit, and it's back to perfect again. No pooling, no running. The ink that's at the bottom of this is dry. I don't really care about that. We're approaching the end of this roll, but I have some a roll of film that I'm testing from DT. Well, not testing, I bought it. I mean, I don't, none of these affiliate things are in the works. I mean, they're in the works, but I haven't heard back from them yet. So I am purchasing these products, but I will be personally testing DTG Pro, their roll of film. So we'll see. And I also want to be fair, and I'll probably end up removing the tape from the vacuum ports and see if the film has anything to do with it. I love Kingdom, but that has nothing to do with just me testing things or whatever, just because I'm curious. So if I forget, just remind me and I'll try to run a test to see what's what. But this belt is nice. I mean, I'm looking at it on the inside of the printer. You know what? I'll just show you. Okay, so look at this belt. You want to make it to where it doesn't move very much, and it's, I mean, it's going. And we will be, again, we have 400 and something prints to get out. But again, that is where I had the paper towel, went with the cleaning solution, and it saturated the paper, or the film rather. And so this is the crispy white big boy ink. Let me try to get it to where it's the same contrast as the room. I can't get it perfect, but yeah. Yeah. Quality. And if you stuck it out through this video and this video helped you in some way, please like it. That's the only thing I ask. If you want more comprehensive walkthroughs and design stuff, the Patreon will be in the description, and I have it, what I feel to be very affordable. I haven't asked you guys for anything, but this is just for the people that want to be able to access me personally, as well as ask me questions, especially with the 7890. That's how you can find me the fastest, unless you just find me in the groups, in the Facebook groups or the forums. Oh, actually, this cut off because I actually canceled it from the printer, so no worries there. I didn't want it to run the entire length of the job. But if this has helped you in some way, again, like and subscribe. If you've been following my journey and everything, just subscribe. Stop lurking. Just subscribe. I'm asking you now. So I appreciate the support. And anyway, even if you don't subscribe and you still watch the video, thank you for the watch. I really appreciate all of the love and support, all of the people reaching out to me from all over this planet. I feel so blessed to be in the space that I'm in right now. Stay tuned. We will have printers coming in. These will be some really nice printers that we have coming in. So I've spoken for long enough, and I really appreciate you guys watching my content. And as always, stay elegant.